Pam Hoffman, Everyday Spacer.
I'm Jeff Miller, 2049 Outfitters.
At Everyday Spacer, we show regular folks how to personally and directly participate in space exploration, science, and astronomy. We're here on Friday night at 9 p.m. Pacific Time, midnight Eastern Time, and 5 a.m. on Saturday in London. We're broadcasting live from Thousand Oaks, California. Thank you so much for joining us.
Tonight's guest is Mike Simmons, affiliate research scientist with Blue Marble Space Institute of Science. We'll be back in 6.8 seconds. Okay, Mike's is the founder of Astronomers Without Borders. He ran the Griffith Observatory, and he's a past president of the Los Angeles Astronomical Society. He's been all over the world and much more.
So, Mike, tell us a bit about your background, and then tell us what you're most excited about right now.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to make clear I didn't run Griffith Observatory. I ran the telescope there.
Oh, got it. Sorry, my bad. That was my note.
That's okay. Yeah, I know the director, and he might frown on that. But that's okay. I've gotten credit for all kinds of things I never did. And not all of them good. But that's a good place to start because, really all my life I've been a public outreach person, both at Griffith Observatory, running the telescope there, Los Angeles Astronomical Society, Mount Wilson Observatory. And I really just love sharing astronomy with the public, like what you guys are doing, helping people get into it, helping them understand what's going on. It's really a unique science. It's like if you're a botanist, you don't have to explain to people what a plant is, but nobody knows the difference between a star and a planet, so they really starting from scratch. and I just love doing that. I professionally, I was in medical research, but I always was in astronomy. But since I retired from that, I've sort of been in astronomy full time and more. With Astronomers Without Borders, before that, the International Year of Astronomy in 2009, and since then, other things. And I'm starting some new things, basically based on the experiences that I've had over the years internationally, using astronomy to connect people together, to understand each other better, but also to share with each other through our love of the sky. It really does work to connect people. And a big part of that is what's called the overview effect. And we can talk about that as well. And that's something that is unique to those who go into space. And I contend us astronomers. And it's a very important part of what it is we do and an important thing for the future.
Yeah, and I thought of something useful that might be useful since we spoke about this. And Jeff and I have both done this, but have you seen a geosynchronous orbiting satellite through a telescope?
Oh, I don't think I've ever seen one myself through a telescope.
Oh, it's amazing because, of course, the satellite sits there and you don't have to move the telescope to track it. You see the stars streaming by, of course, behind this geosynchronous orbiting satellite. You get just this real sense of the rotation of the Earth.
Yeah, that's
and I
cool.
I think that'd be really fun to make a regular part of anybody who's out there looking at stuff. I've done a little bit of research on how to find them because I've seen it that somebody else found. But I think that overview effect might. You get, like I said, you get sort of like when you watch a film of what are they called?
I have no idea.
You're going down the hill, like Magic Mountain. It's a roller coaster. A roller coaster. You get that like, whoa, that sort of sensation. Even though you're not on it, you see a video of it.
Yeah.
So it's sort of the same thing.
I think that's neat. It's sort of also like looking at planets. People notice planets seem to like move around relative to the stars or relative to where they're looking in the sky. And what's neat about that is because everybody's used to watching the stars go by. First, everybody thought, well, that the stars are moving around us, and then we realize, okay, we're rotating. But it's so natural; it's like big deal. I mean, you take it for granted. Nobody thinks about that. Then show them something that doesn't fit,
Mm-hmm.
and it makes people stop and go, whoa, what's going on here? That's always a great thing to do.
Yeah, space station in orbit.
Space station, yeah.
You can see it from almost anywhere on the Earth. I love that part.
Yeah. So many satellites, but then when you see that going by and you go like, somebody's having breakfast up there or whatever, it's hard to believe.
Yeah, there's people on there. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, and it can be like negative 3.8 magnitude. So
it can be very, very bright.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, we have a couple of good passes in our area coming up. On I think October the 8th.
Oh, really? I got to check those out. I hope they're evening passes. I don't get up at 4:00 in the morning.
Well, neither do we, so we don't really consider those.
Those don't count.
Yeah, I think they're evening ones.
Hey, I got a good guest for you, Liam Kennedy. He makes a device called ISS Above. You should look this up, and it tells you when the space station is up any time of day or night, not necessarily visible. And it's up there all the time. It's a very cool thing. So
yeah, it goes over around the Earth every 90 minutes, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, and you've told me some really wonderful ideas that you've kind of had for going forward. I'll just throw the terms out there: astronomy equity, and you mentioned unity. So we got to hear about them.
Well, astronomy for equity is what I was talking about. There were so many things that happened when I created this worldwide community of people based on an interest in astronomy. That all came about from visits to, well, keep tracing things back, but it was solar eclipse chasing. And in 1999, I went to Iran for the eclipse. Everybody else was going to Europe, and that's what I planned on doing, but I ended up in Iran. I won't even go into why I ended up there, but it was fascinating and it was amazing. And I connected the people there who didn't have any telescopes with Americans, and it just bypassed all the problems that our governments get into fighting with each other. Turns out it's completely different than I expected and everybody else expected. They love the U.S. There's a lot of astronomy. It's mostly young women in astronomy there, which is very different than here, of course. And the culture is very different than people realize. Then also going to Iraq, I did the same thing. And the idea was to bring people together to learn about each other and to sympathize with each other more as people rather than just something somewhere else on the planet. So it's really international relations and peace building. But it turns out that people are also very willing to share what we have here with people in other countries. So I've helped to get telescopes, for example, to schools in Puerto Rico after the hurricanes, to a group in Nigeria that does STEM camps with astronomy for girls who don't get an opportunity to try out science ordinarily, and in refugee camps for the kids, and different places all over the world. And there are many different ideas I think that can expand on. It's one of the things I want to do. Those of us, and maybe you get this, Pam and Jeff, but when you're in contact with people all over the world, you get these emails all the time. I need to get a telescope. I can't, and there's like none in the country, and there's no way to get it.
Wow.
And it's one of the things I did. I took a whole bunch of gear that was donated or discounted to northern Iraq on my second visit to Iraq for an astronomy club there. So there are many other things that can be done to help people many different things having to do with gender equity, especially in cultures where it is not, not a thing, and many others. So that's a big part of that. Now, the other part is the whole thing in terms of the community is really getting people to recognize that we're all together on this planet. This is, as Buckminster Fuller called it, Spaceship Earth. And he said we're all crew. And Marshall McLuhan promoted us all to crew, Fuller said passengers. McLuhan said, no, we're all crew and we have to take care of the planet. And so the idea there is that what we need to understand that we are all in, well, here's the thing, especially during the pandemic, everybody says we're all in this together. They don't act like it, they just say it. And it just loses all meaning. But we really are, with climate change, with pandemics, with all the different things that happen, especially in our globally connected world. And the astronauts come back with a complete, you watch the Inspiration 4 and you see that they get this. It's so different than what they expect. This is a three-dimensional living thing. They come back with a different sense. And that's what's called the overview effect, coined by Frank White, who wrote the book called The Overview Effect. Now in its 4th edition. It's highly recommend it. Yeah, he wrote the first one, I think, in the 70s, 80s maybe.
I probably have a copy somewhere, yeah.
Yeah. And, but the thing is, not very many of us get to go to space. And I've heard astronauts talk about this and say, well, this is what you see, this is what you experience, and isn't this great? But how do you explain that? They didn't understand it before they went. Now they're trying to tell us. Well, that's the thing, is that we astronomers have a perspective that other people don't have. When we go out, look at a geosynchronous satellite, watch the planets moving from night to night, seeing the moon, and especially if you connect it with somebody on another part of the planet who's seen the moon, but a different part of the sky. And we watch these things happen all the time. And we realize we're part of something bigger, and we're just this little thing with everything else out there and all this stuff going on. Our universe is bigger than those things we experience on a daily basis. And that gives us a real unique perspective. And
I always boggle because our friends in Australia, and actually Cliff is one of them. Thanks for being here, Cliff. Really appreciate that. And I think he's seen a geosynchronous orbiting satellite.
Yeah,
that's what he. Yeah, that's cool watching. Yeah, right. So they tell us that the moon appears
inverted from
upside down from us, and it's really hard to wrap my head around that. Even when I've seen the diagram that Cliff shared with everybody on Facebook, and I'm like, okay, it makes sense, but it's still really hard to wrap my mind around the seeing of it, the actual going out and looking up and seeing the moon. It's going to seem wrong. I got to get to Australia, though, because I want to see that.
I've been to the Southern Hemisphere and seen the moon upside down, seen Orion standing on his head. It's completely disorienting. It's a real good example of how getting used to things. And I should have charged in my headset. It's about to go dead, so I'll just go to Plan B, whatever Plan B is. And it's disorienting. You get so used to things the way they are. And I thought, well, there was Brazil, for example, and way up in the north where the constellations I was familiar with, I couldn't recognize anything. They had to tell me about my northern constellations. So
interesting.
Perspective is everything. The context is everything. And that's why when we go out at night and look at these things, it kind of shakes what we have. The fact that the Earth is round and the stars are going around us and everything, this is not new. I mean, this goes back thousands of years.
Right.
And it was watching the sky, of course, that people realized that. And so people like Eratosthenes, who measured the diameter of the Earth, circumference of the Earth, pretty accurately a couple thousand years ago.
Yeah.
And, you know, they had a different perspective than other people did.
Mhm.
We are all astronauts. That's absolutely true. Is that how you spell astronauts in
I was going to say,
Australia?
is that how you spell it in Australia?
Well,
It
Wow.
could be. I don't know.
they like to stick U's in things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, okay. Here's the thing. When I give presentations, sometimes Frank White, who I mentioned, I told him I've stolen one of his lines because the first time I ever met Frank and saw him speak many years ago, it was at the National Space Society conference. And of course, when he said, "How many of you would like to go to space?" everybody raised their hands. And he said, "Well, congratulations, you made it.
You're there.
And you're there." And we are all in space, traveling around on this little thing here. We you know, I mean, listen to Carl Sagan and Pale Blue Dot, and then go out and look at the sky. You really get it that way.
Yeah. One of the things I really love is how science can become a universal language. And I've heard of, young people in other countries and, young people here in the United States working together on robotics.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden there's no division. There's no conflict. They don't have they're all interested in learning and it's, all this talk about the robots and science and math and all the problems disappear. It seems like Cliff has another comment for us. Let's see what he has to say. We see what.
That's right.
Yeah.
In the north, that would be like so weird. And I'm originally from Ohio, so I would see the Big Dipper all year round in the sky. Here in Southern California, it sets, which is extremely strange.
Yep. But to your comment about people working together from around the world, it's always been my experience, no matter where people are, you get over whatever the differences are. Nelson Mandela said nobody is born hating someone else for the color of their skin.
Yep.
These are acquired things.
Oh, it's
get
tough.
Used to what we're used to, and there's just no reason for it. The human species is a very small tribe in galactic terms.
Right.
Whatever else is out there.
Well, apparently that is not the way it's spelled in Australia. Just by Cliff.
Okay. Well, he didn't have to admit that,
That's okay. I know you're probably running out of battery power, but let me.
Oh, I've got other things here.
You do? Okay, great.
Yeah.
So let's make sure everybody knows that if they would like to connect with you a little more, and absolutely, we're probably going to have you back as a guest. I know there's things you're starting now, and we'll want to hear how outcomes later. If you want to know more about Mike and find him online, it's facebook.com/MikeSimmons. The Mike.Simmons.astro. Sorry. There it is. All right. So, what else are you into and what are you doing these days? It sounds like there's stuff with Blue Marble and the new things you want to create and.
There, I just put it in comments so people can click on it.
Awesome. Thanks. Okay. So that's where you find Mike. Mike, oh, you know what? I must have hit mute or something. No, Mike did, because I can't unmute it.
Mike, I think you muted yourself.
Oh, it says that he isn't connected.
Oh, your plan B isn't working. We can't hear you.
It's live when. We still can't hear you, Mike.
Okay.
There we are.
I realized I was muted, and for some reason I'm not hearing you. I'm sorry. I should have checked that before.
No,
That's okay.
I think when you disconnected your headset,
yeah.
it detected that there wasn't an audio source, so it muted you. So I think we're good now. Can you hear me?
No, you guys can hear me, right?
Yes.
This
Yes.
should never happen on a live program.
That's okay.
I don't know why I'm not hearing you.
We're not muted, are we? Make sure that we're
The
not.
test works okay.
Nope, we're good. So Cliff, can you hear
Okay.
us okay? Can you hear Mike?
That was something else. I have a plan C.
All right. Did Cliff?
No.
He walked away. Mike, speak for us. Mike, can you hear us? I don't think Mike can hear us.
There we go.
Can you hear us?
Ah,
I think we're in business.
we can hear you. Can you hear us, Mike?
I'm
I
not
think
hearing
no.
you on any of my devices.
Huh.
Okay. Sorry about that, folks. We will definitely get Mike back on
How
at
about
some
that?
point.
No.
If we get him now, we'll continue talking to him. Oh, what's Cliff got to say?
The
That's
thing.
off to you, Mike.
Oh, you can type stuff in and he can
Well,
see
thank
it.
you, Cliff, but can you fix my audio problem? Nothing seems to be connecting to. The test works out okay for all these things, but I just don't happen to see you. I mean, hear you.
All right. Well, we're going to type in the chat and see if we can communicate with Mike that way. We have the technology. We can make this happen. Thanks, Jeff.
Honestly, I don't know what's happening. Everything seems to be okay.
She got to show it.
I'm so sorry about this. Yeah, that was about what I was about to say. I'll be right back.
Okay. So while we're waiting for Mike, I will go over some of the stellar events this week. We're beginning October 1st through October 8th. Of course, Globe at Night is still happening. That was September 27th to October the 6th. If you would like to participate in this citizen science project, find Globe at Night or our show from last June, July, something like that. And go ahead and target either Pegasus in the northern hemisphere, Sagittarius in the southern hemisphere, and help them understand what your night sky looks like. On October 1st through the 4th, we have the 100 hours of astronomy. Mike, can you hear us again?
I hear you.
You hear, and you talked to me about 100 hours of astronomy. I was just going through our events for the week.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that? I remember you talking about this.
Well, what's happening now is a follow-up to what we did in the International Year of Astronomy. So I co-chaired 100 hours of astronomy then. It was 4 days, 100 hours of events of various kinds. And the Global Star Party then, we had tens of thousands of amateur astronomers with telescopes out, and probably had 1 million people look through telescopes around the world in one night. That was an incredible event, as well as many other things that happened. Now, What they're doing now is the same idea. It's not on the same scale. That was the biggest event of the International Year of
Okay.
Astronomy. But it is something where everybody has a chance to go out and do something with other people. You know, I mean, what we had was an event that everybody took part in as darkness went around the world. And I guess it's the same idea about this as well. Instead of going out and doing your own thing, you have a star party with everyone else everywhere.
Cool. Okay. So how about I finish up our events and then we'll get back to you if you had a few last words. On October the 5th, we are experiencing the Blue Marble Week. They are going to talk about space stations, life support, food, and health for that Blue Marble Week event. On October 6th, it's the new moon. Mercury and the moon are in conjunction as well. Mars and the moon are in conjunction. Of course, the moon will not be visible. Mars and Mercury should be. Well, Mars is pretty far away. So then we've got, the season premiere of the weekly Space Hangout. That's October the 6th. The guest is Joshua Stoff, and he will be talking about the Cradle of Aviation Museum. And then we're back to October the 8th, Friday, which is our Friday night show. You can find us at 9 p.m. Pacific time on the Everyday Spacer Facebook page and the Everyday Spacer YouTube channel. Also, that night, Mars and the Sun are in conjunction. So, yeah, Mike, any last words you want to give us about what you're doing, where you've been?
Well, yeah, I've been able to travel at all lately for obvious reasons. One of the things I could do, you know, a lot of times I present some pictures of astronomy around the world. You guys are familiar with that. And it's really the basis for the things that I'm going to be doing here. I've been talking with a lot of people about the plans, and there are a lot of people that have bought into it. So yeah, I'd like to come back when I actually have something where I can say, everybody go look at this. But we don't have that just yet. Maybe in a month or so.
Sounds great. Thank you very much, Mike. Sorry you had some technical difficulties.
I'm sorry for that. I should have checked them usually a little bit.
Hey,
more careful about my tech.
We had a guest that went AWOL. In fact, I actually heard from Grant not too long ago. So, Jeff, why don't you go ahead with the next part, and I'll take us home. And
Okay. If you or someone you know has done something interesting involving space exploration, science, or astronomy, we'd love to share our live. Join us next Friday, October 8th, with the Citizen Science Project Radio Meteor Zoo, which is showing 90% complete, but they also say that they're going to be adding more images, more data to check. So this might be one of those that's continually between 80 and 90% complete.
Got it. And I thought I saw Cliff had written a couple more things.
Oh, basically, he's he can hear us. We've been talking about that.
Okay.
Also, all from 1,200 miles away. I think he's talking about, I don't know what.
Geosynchronous orbiting satellite?
I don't know.
Oh, they're farther away than that.
They're farther. Okay. Yeah, I don't know exactly.
I think that came in about the time that you were talking about the 100 hours of astronomy.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Could be. So, I'm not sure. Boy, that was worldwide. So it's farther away than that.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, like I said, we actually heard from Grant Blaisdell. We will see if we can get him on the show. We had to punt for that one, but we are looking forward to some other folks. We're talking to Dave Dickinson again and have him come back. Dr. Adam Dipert, the space juggler, will be back in November. Yeah. He's going to talk about his helium-3 experiment. Then I'm really looking forward to that.
It's not necessarily space related, except on a really overview.
Oh, there's David. Yeah, we actually talk about space exploration, science, and astronomy. What does David got to say? I want to see. David's our friend, another friend of ours in Australia, Mike.
Oh.
Can I play? Oh, no.
Well, you finally got on, David.
We got that comment, buddy.
Yeah.
We'll have Mike come back. We had some technical issues, so the next show will probably be a little bit better. Oh, all right.
Oh.
That's cool. Is that the 100-hour event, Cliff?
Yeah.
All right, very good. Well, hopefully we'll hear from Cliff, and we can also, come and visit you on Facebook afterwards and answer the comments then too. But we're looking forward to Daniel Fox, Greg Allison, Tim Pickens, Sherry J, Chelsea Gould, and Don Dowdy. So thanks so much for joining us, Cliff and David and Mike. Thank you for being here. I can't wait to talk to you again in a little bit after you've done some of the work on your projects.
Yeah, and charge the batteries in these things.
Yeah, please charge the batteries. Yeah. All righty. So have a great week, folks. We will come back next Friday, 9 p.m. Pacific time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.